What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match review stream. I'm fresh out from Burnley yesterday. Got back really late. It was an unbelievable day, really was. The away fans were in absolute full voice, better than it has been all season, and that's saying something because the atmosphere this season has been on a different planet. But, I catched up with the stuff in the studio as well. It looked like it was scenes happening in here. I mean, just this another great day to be a Spurs fan yesterday. I thought the performance on show as a team performance was just absolutely brilliant. And there's just such good vibes around the place now, isn't there?
And it was so important that we had a performance and a result like that after what had been a fairly disappointing week, considering, we went out the Carabao Cup and the transfer window maybe didn't end as we would have liked with no signings in the centre-back area. So I think to get those good vibes back, I think it was important that we were pretty much back to where we were a week ago with brilliant football, even though, went down after 10 minutes, but we recovered the situation. The football was brilliant. Every goal was absolutely top quality finishing. And it was, Ange Ball was just in full flow again. And some of the moves we put together, I've been seeing clips circulating on Twitter of some of the moves we were putting together, even that didn't lead to goals, that were just like leading us up the pitch. And it's just so beautiful to watch. When we're playing football like that, it's hard not to just be excited and happy about where we're headed.
Yeah, I said after the game yesterday that, we won 5-2, but we could have scored so many more goals yesterday. We were in full flow. It really was unbelievable to see. Even one of the goals, I think every outfield player took a touch on the ball yesterday, which is absolutely insane. Where you cast your mind back to like last season, the football we were playing, it was just like, we'd be lucky if 3 players touched the ball before
Honestly,
we put the ball in the back of the net. Now we're seeing every single player make a massive impact on that team. And I was just in awe watching that team yesterday. But, you start from the beginning of the game because, again, it was a bit of a slow start from Spurs. I thought Burnley started the game really well. That midfielder, that left midfielder, Koleosho, I think his name is.
the number 30.
18-year-old. I mean, he was running rings around Porro. Really burned Porro for their goal in the opening 4 minutes, thinking, oh, is this Porro's defensive frailties coming to the fore again? And is it going to be a difficult day at Burnley? But after that goal, we just took complete control, and it was pretty much just complete dominance till the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we didn't start the game great, and I think Burnley were really aggressive in their press, and it's probably what you expect. We thought we were analysing the game before in our preview, and we're saying, look, Burnley under Company, they want to play a certain way. They're not like the Burnley of old. They like to push players forward. They like to take risk. They like to be very aggressive with their press. They like to keep the ball. And for the first 10, 15 minutes or so, they were doing a really good job, and we were really struggling to first of all, with our build-up play, we were struggling, and then for the goal, you got to say, yeah, Porro got burnt, but it is actually a very good team goal from Burnley. You got to give him credit for that, and it was a good finish by Foster. Vicario gets a leg to it, but I don't think you can expect him to save it. It's just a very cute finish, and like Burnley. Obviously played some really good football last season in the Championship, haven't really got to grips with the Premier League yet, but at that moment you thought, oh God, is it starting to click for them? We've had not a great week as well, so are those negative feelings seeping into the squad after crashing out the Carabao? It was a bit nervous after going 1-0 down after 10 minutes, but I think the one moment that changed the game was that brilliant ball from Porro. And I think even before that, we weren't really doing much, but we called it before the game. Where if Burnley are going to press you really high and going to commit players forward, and they're going to play a really high line, sometimes the best thing to do is just beat their press entirely and go long and just and go over the top. And I said before, I saw Man City do that in their game against Burnley. They didn't even try with the build-up. They just went long because they knew Haaland had a one-on-one. And that's exactly what happened. Porro sees the opportunity to go long to Heung-min Son. He notices there's a 2-on-2 down the other end. He plays a perfect ball over the top. And you got to say, amazing link-up between Son and Porro to just clinically get us back level. And from that moment on, it was all Spurs.
Yeah, and that moment from Porro was a great reaction to, being skinned by the 18-year-old in the opening stages of the game. He single-handedly pretty much dragged us back in the game as well with a brilliant ball over the top to Heung-min Son. Nice little 1-2 with Manor Solomon, and a lovely dink over the keeper from Heung-min Son. I thought it was world-class, that dink, to be honest. And on Manor Solomon, it was and that's when he started to really grow into the game, Manor, and you saw him get the ball. He was showing his tricks, and he was really hard to get the ball off. He was hard to contain. His link up with Sonny was top notch, to be honest. And I think this is the first time where we could probably say that Manor Solomon has probably introduced himself to the Spurs fans, because we've seen like little flashes before with Manor coming off the bench. Even in the start that he had against Fulham, you saw flashes, but you didn't really see a top performance. But I really thought in that first half, it was a top performance from Manor. He got 2 assists on the day, but it wasn't just that. I thought the way he was controlling the ball, the way he was running at the Burnley defenders, I thought it was all top class, and we could really see what he's going to bring to a Tottenham shirt now.
Yeah, and they really struggled to contain him. I thought his pace was frightening. I thought he was able to carry the ball in really good way. And I thought before that moment where just before he laid in Son for the assist, there was a moment where he could have laid in Madison. He just overhit a really simple pass, and you saw Madison getting a bit frustrated with him. So I thought that next moment he had to get it right. And to be he stayed composed. It would have been very easy in that moment to try and go for goal himself, 2-on-2. He could have tried to take on the Burnley defender and try and create his own opportunity. But I thought he did really well to just stay patient, wait for Son to peel away from the defender, and he played the pass perfectly into Son's path, and Son did the rest. And I thought it was a big day for Manor, because we were talking about on deadline day about where does Manor fit in now, because Ange has seemed to fancy Perisic more than Manor Solomon so far, and Johnson's coming in, so he's going to have his time limited on the right, so it's going to be difficult for him to see game time. And it was very interesting to see Sonny moving to the centre with that spot now open on the left. You just judging by what we've seen from Ange so far, you would have thought Perisic would be the one coming in. But I am very happy he decided to go with Manor yesterday. I said it before when I saw the lineup. I'm really happy he went with Manor, because he needs an opportunity in his favourite position to show what he's all about in a game within the first team as well. And I thought he grabbed that opportunity with both hands, and I'm delighted for him. And I thought it was a top performance. Both assists were really good as well. Good timing of the passes, good decision making as well. And I thought I'm hoping it's a sign of things to come from him.
Yeah, I think so. And I was saying when you were saying that yesterday or on transfer deadline day that, you know, it's only 3-4 games in, including the cup. There's a long season ahead, and I think Manor's going to get his chances. And I assumed that Son would move centrally at some point. I didn't think it was going to come this soon, to be honest, to Son to move centrally, but I thought Manor really grabbed his chance yesterday. I think it's the first time we've seen him on the left. In a Spurs shirt.
Apart from the West Ham game in pre-season.
Apart from the pre-season West Ham.
He played quite well in that game.
But look, I think it's no surprise that the 2 best performances we've seen from Manor then have been from the left-hand side. It seems to be his favoured position. And I think it was a performance yesterday that says, look, I'm here, I'm serious, I want to play, and I've got quality about me, and he definitely showed that yesterday. So I'm very happy for Manor, and the fans in the stands were very happy for him as well. Manor songs going off in the away end I thought was absolutely brilliant. But after we scored that equaliser, it was one-way traffic, wasn't it, until we got that second goal, and we were pumping. Madison had that chance from outside the box, which the keeper was equal to. And we kept getting chances, and we probably should have gone 2-1 up a lot earlier than we did. And you just saw the domination. We penned them in, and Burnley just didn't have an answer to what we were throwing at them. And it came right at the end of that second half, in stoppage time. A bit of pinball in the box, and it falls out to Cuti Romero. Yeah. And my word, what a finish was that from Cuti Romero. Where the hell did that come from?
I was saying on stream, like, that was like a De Bruyne-esque kind of finish. It was unbelievable from Romero. First time, just sweeps it into the far corner, in off the post as well. That finish as well, the outswinger from that kind of side of the area, is so hard to pull off. It takes supreme technical ability to pull off that kind of shot and get it into the top corner. Our centre-back to be doing that. I didn't know Romero had that kind of shot in him, and it was absolutely astonishing, and it was reward for what was a good finish to the half for us. And I thought, I completely agree, we took control of that first half after going down, and I think it wasn't a surprise when we were going 2-1 up. It was us. It was good reward for the pressure we were putting on Burnley, and they couldn't contain us really. And it would have been a shame if we'd gone on. Look, even if we'd gone into halftime 1-1, I'm sure we would have come out in the second half and carried on the domination that we were showing. But it was very crucial to get that lead going into halftime, and I think changes the dynamic a bit for Burnley because they don't have anything to hold on to going into that second half. And maybe if it was 1-1, they could have regrouped at half time, and maybe Kompany might have changed things. He might have said, look, it's 1-1, we're getting dominated, maybe we need to be a bit more pragmatic. But at 2-1, he can't afford to do that because they're chasing the game all of a sudden. So I think it was a crucial element to the game where we went 2-1 up.
The game
and it was
could
just
have been over at half-time though, couldn't it?
Yeah, we had chances,
could
didn't
have
we?
been over, and we weren't clinical enough in terms of to take all of our chances in that first half, but that did all change in the second half. But in terms of the first half, again, I thought Destiny Udogie again was just absolutely insane. I mean, nothing gets past him defensively. He contributes to the attack. We keep saying it every game, but it's like he's been here in the Premier League for so many years. The guy's 20 years old. 20 years old, and what a player we have in our hands. I mean, I thought he put in an absolute masterclass again yesterday. I thought even go as far as to say it's probably his best performance in a Spurs shirt yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. And you talk about him being 20, but to be fair to him, he has been playing in Serie A for 2 years now consistently, and that's like a high level. So yes, the Premier League is a different league, but in like Serie A, like it's not like he's playing in Eredivisie or he's playing in Portugal, like one of the not so highly rated teams. Serie A is a high level league in Italian league. So he's been doing that for 2 years. I think we probably did a stroke of genius to send him out on loan again just to get more experience. Very similar to what Arsenal did with Saliba. Just give him as much game time as possible before he becomes a regular starter for us. And he's really just seamlessly fitted into this team, and I'm so delighted for him. I thought both ends of the pitch again, he was absolutely outstanding. He pretty much won all his duels. He's so strong and fast that he doesn't even need like mad skills to get past the play. He just bulldozes them and gets past them. And there was a run, I think it was like in the 97th minute or something, where he's like still lung bursting run down the left hand side and still showing that pace. That just evidence of his unbelievable physicality. But as I keep saying, he marries that with a good decision making and really good technical ability. And the worry we all had was, he's been playing off wing back, and that's probably suited him because he can use that physicality to exploit the space when he's on the left hand side and get up the pitch. But what I've been so impressed with is how he is composed and how he picks the right decisions when he does become an inverted wing back, and he does come into the centre of midfield, and he's not overawed by it. He's very comfortable in those tight spaces. He can play a simple pass and knows when to make the right decisions. But he also is confident enough in his own ability that he doesn't just have to dribble out wide. He can make a through the centre. If he sees space, he'll go for it. Yeah. And we saw that yesterday. There was one run up in the second half. He just went straight through the centre of the Burnley team without a second thought. And that was so encouraging. And he's been pretty much faultless, to be honest. I don't think he's had a bad game ever since he's come into the team. It's only been 4 games, but they're not been the easiest games. Remember as well, 3 of them have been away from home. And that away from home in the Premier League is never easy. And especially when you're very new to the Premier League, you would have thought it might have taken him a bit of time to adjust, but he has just been absolutely phenomenal. And it was another top display yesterday.
Yeah, it really was. And I thought in the first half maybe Yves Bissouma was a bit sloppy on the ball. Wasn't having the best display, but that all changed in the second half, and he just grew and grew and grew into that game and became an absolute monster for us in that middle of the park. Pedro Porro as well, after that mistake early on in the game, he just as well grew and grew and grew into the game. And I think we're really starting to see how much of a good right back Pedro Porro can be. This is 3 really good performances in a row now from Pedro. Attacking qualities on yesterday. Defensively, I thought maybe he did have his hand in both of the goals that we did concede, Pedro, but you can't take away anything from that attacking performance. It's just absolutely top notch. But we move on to the second half, and we really needed to go and kill that game off early, and that's exactly what we did. Madison with an absolutely astonishing goal. Every single goal yesterday was of the highest order, highest degree, and Madison's goal was no different. The angle they showed on Match of the Day, like behind the ball, where it just curled out of the post, then curled back in. It was just unbelievable.
Well, we knew Madison in that kind of area before he came. He's one of the most deadly players in the Premier League in that sort of position. We just hadn't seen it yet in a Spurs show. He hadn't had too many opportunities to show what he can do from that sort of area. Well, yesterday he was granted time and space by Burnley, and that's in that area. And you just knew that feeling as soon as he got the shot off, that net was going to ripple. And to be fair, again, that goal again came of a consequence of Burnley being a bit naive. They're trying to play out the back. They're trying to play their way of building up from the back. Trafford plays a lovely clip pass into the wing back, and they're trying to play through our press. But Destiny Udogie comes and confronts him. He wins the ball high up the pitch, just lays it off very quickly to Madison. All of a sudden, it's 3-1. And those are the lessons Burnley are going to have to learn in the Premier League very quickly. Otherwise, they're going to be caught out more often than not in those kind of situations. Sometimes in those situations, safety first. And I think they're trying to stick to their principles, but it did cost them on that occasion again. But when you've got a player like Madison of that kind of quality, there's not much Burnley can do as well. It's just incredible, and it was a magical moment from him. I'm so sure it's not going to be the last goal he scores from outside the box in the Spurs shirt, but it was hopefully the first of many.
Yeah, absolutely, and got a warning sign in the first half when they let him have that shot from about 25 yards, but he wasn't going to make that mistake again for the second. It was just absolutely pinpoint. But it wasn't just that goal. It wasn't just that goal from Madison yesterday, because he was orchestrating everything, floating between the lines. I thought just everything goes through him, and that leadership quality that he was showing on the pitch. Well, I mean, I'm just so in awe watching Madison play every single game now, because I always thought Madison was a good player, but I never thought he was this good. And it's just unbelievable to see him strut his stuff for us week in, week out, and be so influential every single game.
Yeah, well, I think the one thing that has stood out for me from Madison that has really surprised me, apart from maybe his leadership, which has surprised me a bit. I didn't think he was going to take on that kind of role in this team, which he has, and I'm super impressed with that. But we all know what a great creative passer and a good shooter he was. That was very well known. But what has really surprised me is his dribbling ability since he's come.
Absolutely.
I think he's been untouchable on so many occasions. You would have thought before we signed him, if he was to be a player in the build-up, like deep in your own half, you'd be worried about him getting on the ball and being caught and not being able to beat a press and be press resistant. But that has been completely the opposite. He's been absolutely phenomenal when he's been on the ball in tight situations, and it's really put us in it's really helping us create spaces and chances. The way he's manipulating his body, he has a 360 turn. He can turn in any direction, which is absolutely astonishing as well. And in terms of comparing him to someone like Eriksen, that's something that I don't think Eriksen, who was an okay dribbler, but he wasn't elite. And I have a feeling Madison, his dribbling ability is up there with the very best in the Premier League, what he's showing at the moment.
And can't get the ball off him. The
way he just glides past players like he's not there. There's this thing that he does, which is extremely hard to stop, where he gets to the byline and he shapes to cross, and the defender always dives in and he back and creates space for himself. And because Madison is such a good crosser of the ball, the defender's always going to have to go for the block, because if you let Madison cross it, he's got the quality to put it right on someone's head. But because he's also got that unbelievable dribbling ability, he's got that presence of mind to know when the right moment is to cut back on his right foot and create the space and create a better angle for himself. And when defenders are facing him, that's something they're going to have to worry about, because if they don't dive in and try and stop the cross, then the quality's there. If they do dive in, he's mind to check back and create a better angle for himself and create space. And I think the second goal came from a good bit of dribbling, which led to a cutback, which led to the ball falling to Romero. But a number of occasions as well, just he gets on the ball in tight situation, you think, where's he going to go? And he's just able to wriggle out tight situations seamlessly and create space for his others. So it's so great to see that on top of what we know he already has, that amazing goal and assist contributions that we know he's going to bring, his dribbling ability is just an unbelievable bonus that I didn't know he had.
Yeah, and that bears out in the stats as well, because you're looking at Madison's games by numbers. You're looking at dribble attempts. He got 3 successful dribbles out of 4 yesterday. 5 shots on target yesterday, Madison. 3 accurate long balls out of the 3 he played. 1 key pass. And 6 ground duels won out of his 11. I mean, as well, you didn't really associate Madison for his off the ball work and how tenacious he is in the middle of the park and how often he wins the ball back. And that's exactly, he's showing all the qualities that we desperately needed from a number 10 to show, and he's doing every single one of those. It's unbelievable.
100%. And I think that's probably a consequence of taking that more responsibility and that leadership role, which he has done. And Ange was saying a few weeks ago how we've got Madison at a very good stage of his career because he's not that young player anymore who's looking to break in. He's an established player who wants to take more responsibility. He's now become, a father, and he probably feels that responsibility within himself as well. And you could just see that on the pitch, him taking that role within the other players, encouraging other players, but also not just off the pitch with his leadership, but on the pitch he's taking responsibility as well. He's not hiding away from the ball. He's not staying in the number 10 position and demanding service. He's coming deep and collecting the ball and helping the team progress it himself. And I think that this signing is just getting better and better each week.
Yeah, totally agree. Moving on, I mean, we got that goal, like I said, about 10 minutes into the second half. I felt like as soon as we got that goal, it was game over. But 10 minutes later, it really was game over when I think that was the goal where every player on the team literally touched the ball away from the back. Comes to Manor Solomon. He plays a lovely ball into Heung-min Son. And you knew once it got to Heung-min Son in that situation, it was going to ripple the back of the net. And you're looking at Heung-min Son now, and we're all saying we think he's going to suit the number 9 role in an Ange Postecoglou system. He's come in his first start and got a hat-trick. What must Richarlison be thinking now after watching that? Because, he started 3 games in a row in the Premier League, Richarlison, didn't score any goals. Sonny's come in straight off the bat and scored a hat-trick.
Yeah, well, but what have we been saying for ever since we've been kind of looking at the team and Son himself and his best qualities and how Ange likes to set up? We've constantly been saying that Son needs to be getting in positions where he in front of goal and getting goal scoring positions, because what is his best attributes? Yes, he can be a fast player, and yes, he can be a decent dribbler, but his top attributes, what he's truly elite at, is finishing in front of goal, getting in those goal scoring positions and putting it in the net. That is his best quality, and the way to get the best out of him in that position is putting him more central. Now, we were saying maybe if we were going to persist with Richarlison, maybe you adjust the left-hand side position and get him to be more central from that position. But truly, I really believe the number 9 in this position is what is going to suit him the best. And I think we just saw that yesterday. His supreme finishing ability yet again on show. And it's just no surprise to me that as soon as we get him in central areas and more goal-scoring positions, we see a better Sonny. And we just know that playing on that wing and asking him to beat players and create chances, yes, he can do it to a decent level, but is that what is going to get the best out of him? I never really believed that, and we kept saying that consistently on this channel. And now we've seen him in one, and not to be fair, it's not even just been this one game. Even in the cameos that he's been playing centrally in the other game, he's been involved in goals. He was involved in the second goal against Man United. He was involved in the second goal against Bournemouth, just with his link-up play, let alone with his finishing ability. And I think even without, if you take away his goals yesterday, I still think it was a very good performance from Heung-min Son, just in his general play. And it really showed up Richarlison, not for what he isn't doing, which is scoring goals, but it's more about his contribution to the team, which is really lacking. And that's something that Ange Postecoglou said in midweek. Even after Richarlison scored in midweek, he was asked about, he got his goal, is that going to bring his confidence? And Ange was very honest and it was pretty brutal. He was saying, look, yes, Richarlison got his goal, but it's not just about goals, it's more about your contribution for the team. And for me, he wasn't contributing enough. And that was kind of ruthless a bit from Ange. And he was ruthless in his team selection yesterday with him. And I think it was absolutely right. And we were saying, I know I said I thought he probably would have stuck with Richarlison because he scored, but I was saying before, for me, I think Son has got to come into his team centrally. I think that's what's best right now. And I think we're seeing that. And Son can do that role. And look, it'll be interesting to see a Son maybe against a less naive team, like a Nottingham Forest, who are going to sit a bit deeper and up the central areas and not provide him the space that he got. We'll
see it in a couple of weeks against Sheffield United.
Exactly.
Because they're not going to push everyone up that pitch. You saw how they played against and defended against Man City. So I think that game is going to actually give us more problems in this Burnley game.
Exactly, because I think this game for Son was kind of tailor-made for him. They gave him all the space to run in behind, and that's where Son's at his best, when he's able to stretch defenders. His timing of his runs are perfect. I think he might be the best player at timing his runs behind in the Premier League. He's so good at that.
That the way he held his run for Solomon just to play it right into his path was absolute genius, because they were doing the analysis on Match of the Day, and I think Genius was saying some strikers would just burst box and try and find that 6-yard box, but he just waited patiently for that ball just to come into his path, and bang, it's a goal.
And for the first goal as well, a lot of players maybe would have tried to got closer to Manor to try and help him out, but he peeled away from the defender, giving himself as much space as possible, and that allowed himself for the first goal and for the third goal as well. The timing of the run yes, Porro's pass is perfect, but Son's run, like if that's Richarlison in that position, I don't think he times his run as perfectly. I think he probably finds himself offside because his timing of the runs is not as good as Heung-min Son in that situation, and we know that once he gets to that situation, he's as clinical as ever, and he's going to bury it. So for me, Son was fantastic, but yeah, as I was saying, it was tailor-made for him, this kind of game. Burnley pushing up and creating the space for him and allowing him that space to run in behind. When the space is restricted and he's going to have to be a bit more nimble, and he's going to have to take the ball with defenders on his back, and he's going to have to hold on to it, and he's going to have to turn and shoot, and he's going to have to link play a bit more. It'll be interesting to see how he kind of gets on with that kind of the game, because you dissociate that with something Son might struggle with a bit more. But still, when Son's getting those chances, he's just such a clinical finisher, and that's the great thing. He could even be as clinical as Harry Kane. I really believe that.
And, he only had 27 touches yesterday on the pitch, which is mad. And he only had 3 shots, an XG of 1.12 on the pitch yesterday. Ended up getting a hat-trick. And when you're talking about clinical,
the guy's clinical.
That is like literally down to a T how clinical he can be. He had 1 out of 1 successful crosses, 14 out of 17 accurate passes as well. Didn't win any of his duels, but I think like everything he did yesterday was to such a high level, and I really enjoyed watching him press yesterday as well. I thought his pressing was absolutely on point. So an unbelievable performance from Sonny. I mean, he basically has shown up Richarlison in this one game than what Richarlison has done in 3 games, to be honest. So brilliant stuff from Sonny. And then 3 minutes later, Pedro Porro plays that pinpoint ball just round the back of the Burnley defence, right into the stride of Heung-min Son. Heung-min Son doesn't even have to break stride to get to that ball. And you knew exactly what was going to happen after Heung-min Son picked up that ball, didn't you?
Yeah, 100%. And that's just what I'm talking about with Pedro Porro. At the start of the season, when there was a debate whether we should go with Emerson or Porro, like, I didn't think Porro would take his space so quickly, but Porro is capable of that kind of quality in that position. We've seen it already, even last season. We saw he's got real quality offensively with crosses and through balls and even shots. And when we're playing an offensive system, we're going to need that kind of quality more often than not. And yes, he might get caught out like he did yesterday defensively, but what he does do is going to make up for it, in my opinion. And Emerson wouldn't be capable of that pass that Porro made yesterday. He just wouldn't. He just doesn't have that ability to do that. And yes, Emerson might not have been beaten for the goal like Porro was, but Porro's quality on the ball is absolutely fantastic. That pass, you wouldn't have been surprised if Trent played that kind of through ball the way he did it. And Porro's been showing that kind of quality ever since he's come to Spurs. And it's all about fitting him into the system, making sure that you're masking his defensive troubles or liabilities, and making sure you're getting the best out of him offensively. And we've been managing to do that the past 3 games. I think he's been outstanding, and we saw even against Bournemouth, we saw a different kind of performance. He was a bit more defensively solid, wasn't so involved in the attack, but like yesterday, when he's asked to get involved into the attack, he's more than up to the task. And I'm just really enjoying how he's playing at the moment. He's playing some really, really good stuff, and he's really developing into a top right back at the moment.
Yeah, he really is growing and growing game on game. Pedro Porro, another astonishing display from him yesterday, probably the best of the lot going forward anyway, for sure. And after that, 66 minutes, 5-1 up, game was done. And we did have our chances after that, but it was pretty much cruise control after that, pretty much. And we let Burnley have a goal right at the end in the 94th minute. But, I mean, you can't take away anything from the astonishing display. And they said we wouldn't be able to score without Harry Kane in the team. We've scored 5 goals away from home, 11 goals so far this season. I mean, how good is it watching Spurs at the moment? I just can't get over it. It seems to be getting better and better game on game as well. And you look at the goal scorers yesterday, all 3 goal scorers came from the whole leadership group.
Exactly.
A hat-trick from Heung-min Son, a rocket from Cuti Romero, and a rocket from James Madison as well. And it's just like these vice captains and captains are really stepping up for the team, aren't they?
100%, and I think they're really taking on that responsibility, all of them, and that's what I'm loving about them. You see them on the pitch; they're stepping up for the team. Off the pitch as well, they're encouraging their teammates. They've got a lot of young players to contend with as well, in terms of like Dogi and Van de Ven, and other players like bedding into the team, and they've got to make sure that they're helping them get the best out of themselves and giving them confidence. And you can see that all the time when someone does something wrong. They're always giving them encouragement on social media. When players have bad performance or whatever, they're always giving them words of encouragement on social media as well. And I think the way they've taken to this role so far, look, it's still very early days. You learn more about leaders when things are going badly than when things are going well. So we'll see how they react if we do lose a few games and performance level drops. But at the moment, they're doing a fantastic job. And I think Postecoglou's has done a brilliant job picking them as his captains, and he seems to have picked the perfect guys.
Yeah, a few mentions as well. I thought Vicario, couldn't really do much with the 2 goals conceded, to be honest. But the one moment where he really got called into action early on in that second half, they got a shot ahead of Cuti Romero, and I don't know if it took a deflection off Cuti or not. But
it did, yeah.
It did take a deflection, but
made it even more impressive.
Yeah, that does make it more impressive. But what a save it was, and he celebrated it like it was a goal. And that's what I love to see, that from defenders and goalkeepers when they do a good defensive action or a great save or a goal-saving challenge or something like that, and they really celebrate it like they love defending and they love saving goals. And Vicario, look, I got to say it, hold my hands up, because I was one really, really laying into him after the preseason he had, after the Brentford game as well. But he as well is just growing in stature. And I actually think now my opinion's flipped 180 on this one. I think we got a really good keeper on our hands. I really do.
Yeah, and again, his confidence with the ball at his feet was on show yesterday. I thought he was really comfortable and wasn't scared to go long if need be. And a lot of the times we were aiming at Kulusevski to try and get, because he's the most physical, I feel, of the front line. So if anyone was going to win a duel in the air, he was him. So he was aiming at him a lot. But that save was as good as a goal, because at that point, it was 3-1 at that point. And Burnley, potentially if they get back in the game, it could be a different game if they get it back to 3-2 and all of a sudden, we have to doubt ourselves and give some encouragement. So yes, Romero did really well to get a bit of a block on, but the fingertip save, it's heading right for the top corner, and the reactions to get that out for a corner was phenomenal. And I think he should be celebrating that like a goal, because those kind of moments make a big difference, because that really should have been a goal. He had no right to save that, and the fact that he was able to push it away and make the save in those kind of in Premier League games, it makes all the difference, because who knows if Burnley don't know if they're going to get as good a chance as that again in that game. If they can't put that away and we make the stop, that becomes a very important moment. So yes, he didn't have too much to do when it comes to shots on target, but that one save was phenomenal, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, he does. And the 2 players we put as our potential flops of the season this year, I put Vicario, and he's proving me wrong. And Manor got his first start in the Premier League yesterday, and he's proving you wrong, isn't he?
Yeah, look, I thought he was great, and I have to say, in his first start, he couldn't have gone much better for him. Maybe could have got some more shots off. I would say I don't think he had one shot at all, but didn't need to. He did his creative job phenomenally. I would like to see him against better opposition, but I have to say, you can only play what's in front of you, and he had a fantastic game yesterday. I'm not going to start saying that he's going to be our left winger for the season, but I have to
start next game for you.
Yeah, he has to start next game, 100%. You can't drop him after that game. I think he was phenomenal, and I think it was having him there just adds a bit more pace to the front line and a bit more dribbling ability to the front line as well, which we need in this kind of formation. And it's something I think I wouldn't say we're struggling with, but it's maybe one of the negative things of the first 3 games is maybe we didn't have enough in the forward line to just consistently create chances, and having Solomon in there just, I think, added another threat on the ball with the ball at his feet, which we maybe didn't have in the front line for the first 2 games. So for me, if he keeps playing like that, I think he keeps his place for sure.
I would love to see a front 3 of Brennan on the right, Solomon on the left, and Son up top. I mean, how much pace is in that front line, and how much, dribbling ability as well. I think that would be absolutely electric to see that front 3. I saw Kulusevski yesterday. I mean, I don't think he had a poor game, but I think it was just pretty similar to what he's been showing so far this season, where he's looking good on the ball in terms of beating his man and getting into really good good areas of the pitch. But I think once he gets into those areas, I think he lets himself down a little bit.
To be fair to him, he did play one really good through ball to Son in a really bad touch where he was 1-on-1, or he could have got a goal. So he could have found himself with an assist on the day. But yeah, when it comes to the level of like creating chances and stuff, I don't think he was as good as his teammates when it came to that level. I did think on the day, I thought in the first half he was one of our better players. I thought he was playing really well, and I thought Burnley were really struggling to get the ball off him. He was obviously physically, as I was saying before, he's probably the most physical of the front line. So whenever we did go long, it was Kulusevski who we aimed at, and I thought he actually competed for his duels really well. And that's something that goes under the radar as a really big strength of his physicality. He's very difficult to muscle off the ball compared to maybe a Son or a Solomon who are a bit weaker in those aspects. So he did allow us a bit more, when he gets on the ball, I'm more confident of him being able to hold it when players are bumping off him and trying to make challenges. So I'm happy with that. But for some reason, those for the difference from what we saw when we first came to now, it's just for some reason those decision-making ability has just decreased a bit, and I can't put my finger on why that's happened. I'm just hoping that it'll start to click for him very soon. I'm confident it will, because I still believe he's a top player. I really do. I see him on the pitch, even when he's playing badly. I see top things from him. I really do. And it's not like when he's having a bad game, he's just a liability and he's anonymous. I don't believe that. Even when he's playing badly, he's still getting on the ball and trying and trying to create things. So I think it will come for him. Now he's got more competition with Johnson. Maybe that will make him up his game a bit more, because maybe he didn't feel like his position was under pressure enough. But yeah, yesterday, when you compare him to Son and Solomon, he was probably the weakest of the front three, but I don't think he had a bad game.
I think when you're looking at it and you're looking at the next two games, we've got Sheffield United at home and Arsenal away. I think Sheffield United at home, they're going to sit in a very low block, so we'll probably need someone like Kulusevski to really try and break them down. So I want to see him keep his spot for that game. But I actually think if you go for a front three of Manor, Brennan and Son against Arsenal, against their high line, I think that can be really valuable to us. So it's great different options to have for what different teams can kind of throw at us. But look, 4 games into the season, going into the international break, 10 points, sitting second in the league at the moment. We couldn't really have asked for a better start, could we?
Definitely not, and especially with the level of performance and the goals we are scoring, especially yesterday. I think Spurs fans will be over the moon with what's going on at this football club. And yes, not everything's perfect, and we could have got this in the transfer window, and that could have been done, and different things could have been differently. But from what we've got, with what we've got to deal with, I think Ange is doing a phenomenal job. I think he's got the team so quickly playing this kind of football is amazing. I'm so surprised that he's got the team up to speed so quickly. It'll be interesting to see how we compete when we do play against better side like Arsenal. And there are signs, to be fair, like against Fulham and like against Man United, that maybe when we do play better teams, they'll give us different tests, and maybe we'll struggle a bit more in those games. But how we've played so far against teams put in front of us has been second to none, and the football we've played has just been a delight to watch. I can't wait for more Andrew. I'm gutted that we've got an international break, to be honest, because I just want to see more Spurs at the moment. I'm excited for every game, and that's what Andrew's brought to us. I think he's doing so well. He's doing really, really well with a lot of stuff he's had to deal with, a lot of difficult situations. And even you look across the city and at Chelsea, it's a very similar situation to us, like the new manager, a lot of new players, and he hasn't got his team up to speed as quickly as Ange does at the moment. And so it's not. What I'm trying to say is it's not as easy as what Ange is making it look like to get his team playing so quickly. So I think you got to give him so much credit. And look, I expect there'll be some bumps in the road. I expect there will be times this season that we'll go through some bad form. It's not going to be like this the whole season, but I'm just enjoying it while it lasts right now, and long may it continue.
Yeah, there's a big momentum about Spurs at the moment. We're going through a really good moment, obviously. I think the international break probably comes at a bad time for us, to be fair. But, a lot of people are saying, oh, it's just Burnley, it's just this, it's just that. But there's no mean feat to go and score 5 goals away from home against anyone in the Premier League, let's be honest. And when's the last time we scored 5 goals away from home in the Premier League?
Oof, I don't know if we ever did it under Conte. I remember the last time off the top of my head.
We've done 4 against Palace.
Off the top of my head, the last time I remember us doing it was probably 6-1 at Old Trafford. In the league anyway. That was Jose. Off the top of my head, I don't remember under Conte ever scoring. We did against Norwich on the last day of the season. So that was that game.
Over a season ago.
That was over. I don't think we did it at all last season, if I remember.
No, the only one I can remember that we scored a lot of goals last season is Palace. 4-0.
Palace away, yeah. Anyone let us know in chat. Last time we scored 5 goals away from home, I'm going to think it's Norwich. I think that's probably... So it's been a while since we put on that kind of display. And we were playing really well at that point, to be fair.
They told us we wouldn't score without Harry Kane. They told us we wouldn't score without Harry Kane.
I'm telling you, I think Son...
Top goal scorers in the league, aren't we?
I think we're second to City.
Second to
City.
City.
They also won 5-1 yesterday. I think Son, when it comes to finishing ability... I've been saying this. He is one of the best in Europe, and I think he's just as clinical as Kane. The only difference why Kane will get more goals than Son.
Stats will suggest he's more clinical than Kane.
The only reason Kane will get more goals than Son is because of his physicality. So there'll be situations where the ball is passed into Kane, and he's able to roll a defender and get a shot off because he's very strong, and he's able to get more shots off than Son. Whereas Son, if the ball is fired into him and he's got a defender on his side, it's going to be harder for him to hold off a defender with his physicality and get that shot off. So Kane will get himself more opportunities because of his physicality, and he's obviously got more aerial ability as well than Son. Yeah. But when it comes to like being in front of goal, and if you're 1-on-1 in that situation and being clinical, I think they're just as good as each other. I really believe that. And as you say, the stats in terms of XG to goals, again, Son scored 3 goals yesterday from 1.12 XG, again outdoing his XG, and he is just a phenomenal finisher, and that's why we need him in those goal scoring situations as much as possible.
Yeah, so I do think he is the best suited to that number 9 role in this squad now, and I think we were saying it pretty much coming into the game anyway. But at the international break, like I said, sitting second in the league with 3 wins and a draw, with only 1 home game played this season.
That's also a good something to point out.
Unbelievable start. You can't take anything away. But I think like when you're looking at the games that we played, Brentford was a very hard game. Man United, we always have a hard time with, but I think like we were facing a bit of a different Man United team in this game than maybe we have done over the past couple of years. I thought they were really poor on the day. The other 2 games, obviously, really good wins against Bournemouth, against Burnley away, which you don't. They're not give me games, but you expect Spurs to probably go and get a result in both of those games. So,
but to be fair, I think we've made those games a bit easier than they should have been.
Yeah, 100%. Of course we have. We've done very well to get the points and to put the performances in that we have done. But I think where Spurs are really going to be judged and where we're going to see where we're really at is these 2 games coming up against Arsenal and Liverpool.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like you probably expected Spurs to go and get the points, and it'll be a really bad result if we wouldn't have got those points in those games. But once we play this Arsenal and Liverpool game coming up after the Sheffield United game, I think is where you're going to really see where Spurs are at now.
100%, I agree, and that's going to be, you'll see our true level right now. I don't believe it's just like a honeymoon period. I really believe what Andrew's building is clearly very strong, and it's got sustainability as well. Unlike maybe some other times like Nuno, when we won our first 3 games, we all knew that wasn't sustainable. We could see the way we were playing wasn't great. So I definitely think it is different, but look, I don't think this whole season is just going to be this good for the whole season. We'll get injuries. Well, I'm sure there'll be losses of form. It will happen. But right now, I think he's just doing phenomenally, and we'll have to see when we do come up against better opposition if we are able to play as good a football as we are now. When teams are who are as good as us, who are able to stop us playing that football, how we cope with that. But look, against Man United, we're up against a good team who did try things, and we were able to come up with solutions. And every time so far, we have able to come up with solutions, which I've been so impressed with. We were losing against Brentford, we were losing yesterday, and we were able to come up with solutions to get back in the game and retake control of those games.
Good character.
So that's really encouraging. That it's not just been about like us taking the lead and just like being super confident. Like we have had a few situations where we've had to rethink things and adjust mid-game, and we've been able to do that so early on. So hopefully when we perfect the system, that's going to play to our advantage.
Yeah, and a nice little cherry on the cake yesterday with Chelsea losing at home to Nottingham Forest as well. Pochettino getting booed off the pitch. So happy days. Yesterday was a top day, not going to lie. But that is our match review.